Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hope you're doing well. A feminist on Twitter/X recently said that it's trad to hire people to take care of your kids, and she used wealthy people as an example. And what I thought was really disturbing about this is that it ignores how kids who are raised with nannies do develop issues as well. Yes, and she was slamming stay-at-home moms and saying that no one has respect for them and they're not valued in society. It was pretty disgusting. But she was trying to tell the young girls that it's totally fine that you don't take care of your kids and just let them exist in daycares. And it's strange to me how people who are not even middle class will think they're some type of aristocrat because they put their kid in a very unhealthy, unsafe daycare. The type of daycare violence is quite common. The germs that are spread, the people who are barely doing their job, is quite different than somebody who is very high up in the social class, with a full-time nanny who's been vetted and compensated quite well. Even then, a nanny can still be abusive. But the point is that don't compare the routine crappy daycare where there's minimum wages working there who smell like cigarettes and are on their phone most of the time. You can't compare that to someone in like Downton Abbey in the 19th century with a live-in nanny in this giant estate. It's just totally different. The elites have the financial means to afford the best and get the best. But even then, kids still innately want to be with the mom and with their dad. And you shouldn't mix the two definitions of trad. Okay. It is more honorable and more traditional for the common woman to sacrifice, 18 years per kid for her children and go without so that their kids can be properly guarded, properly supervised, and nourished, okay, and educated. Now, what's interesting is that as this rat femme was slamming stay-home moms and trying to get young girls to push their kids into daycare so they could go to a career, the grifter pearly things who slammed college-educated women said that a woman who has a college degree and is a mom is not an asset. She has really drug working moms through the gutter and college women. And I've documented all of this on my blog. And now she's saying that women should work if their kids go to public school, which just goes to show that Pearl is really out of touch with what women actually do who are homemakers. For example, while my eldest is at school, because they have different schedules. Sometimes they have a short day, so they're out by 1. Right? You drop them off at 8, they pick up at 1, but they have also vacations. Like my kid just had a 2-week vacation, and you're gonna pay money for a daycare or some type of childcare with your work schedule, which a lot of the money you're earning is just going towards daycare. I hear this a lot from women who are struggling with that work childcare balance. A lot of their money goes just towards paying. Like server girls will be like, I didn't make enough tips to pay the nanny, and it's like, oh, well, okay. So, when a woman stays home, I'm cooking. Time goes by fast. You gotta pray, you gotta prep dinner, you gotta cut the ingredients, you have to clean, do your chores, and I read, I have hobbies, I have tons of people I need to call, keep in touch with them, keep up the ties of kin and kinship, play with a baby, whatever, stuff like that, right? You keep yourself busy. And if I go to work, you're not going to have that smiley, upbeat energy with your husband. So, women who work, yes, they come home stressed, jaded, tired, you age faster. You don't cook as nutritious food because you just don't have the energy. You don't pay attention to current events because your mind is drained and you just want entertainment, so you just watch something stupid. And then you are counting down the hours till you gotta go to bed and do it all over again. And that's why it's shocking how strange Pearly Things drifts back and forth. One minute she's telling women you're not trad enough, that you need to, she said women ruined the workforce by entering it, that society's better off without women in the workforce, and now she's telling women to, basically saying that they have life on easy mode and they're lazy if they don't have a job. So, one minute, it's, oh, red pill men and other men don't care how much you make as a woman to contribute to the household. The man is the provider, and we want gender roles, and you stay home, take care of the kids, and be a homemaker. And one of the guys in the comment section said, don't date broke women. So now it's what, now you want a 35-year-old woman with a PhD who's established in her career? Because someone who's 20, who's a virgin, or has a low body count, and she didn't go to college, and she's working as a barista, she's not going to have a bunch of money. Or, with my daughters, I don't want them to work. I don't want them to be sexually harassed in the workplace. You can stay home. We'll figure something for you to do online. We'll keep you protected from men, perverts in the workforce, and degenerate whores in the workforce. You'll be more sheltered, more protected. They're not going to have a bunch of money, you know? But they'll have purity, honor, good manners, inshallah, God willing, that they'll stay that way. And a man we'll have to decide, do you want the non-wealthy, pure good girl, or do you want the very corporate CEO, boss babe, independent woman? So their messages are going this way, going that way. They're never consistent. So there's a lot of mixed messaging going on here. And so I've been comparing on my blog and tracking and archiving, how the Rad Femmes discuss marriage, how the Red Pills discuss marriage, how they talk about childcare, and how they talk about schools, and how they both denigrate women in general. So Pearly Things really harps and degrades women and hates her own lack of beauty, and she has resentment towards her mother, and she was raised by a nanny, and she was raised in wealth. She went to college, she interned for a senator, she has her dad's money to fund all her podcast crap, okay, and buy bots and all that, and ads. And then you have this Rad Femme, RFH, or something, I've shared her before on the community tab. She's saying, it's more trad if you don't raise your kids. So Pearly Things thinks women have not too much to offer, and they should go work at McDonald's and be a secretary and have a work husband and not focus on their communities, not focus on volunteering at the masjid or the church, that they should just focus on being in the workforce and being very masculine, right? So Pearl is a very strange individual, because as I've tracked and archived almost nearly all of her tweets that are relevant, right? Not the ugly, not the crappy song singing tweets that she does, but where she says one thing and several weeks says the opposite. And then, she just goes back and forth. And you can kind of see, this is a very dishonest, high-level occultist, I'd argue. Because if you want women to be better mothers, you wouldn't be telling them that they're bad for making their homes comfortable. But again, no matter if you look at the Rad Femmes or the Red Pillars, you will see that they're both trying to separate the mother from the child. We want to create a society where women can choose to work, but they don't necessarily financially have to, and that they can learn to be savvy and frugal and do an online thing rather than going to a physical location and free mixing with men and being sexually harassed. There's no way you can stop sexual harassment, and there will be some women who don't have kids who can dedicate their lives to knowledge and their careers. Sure, there are some women who, when their kids are flown the nest and, you know, they're making their own families and they're 50 years old and they want to work at a gas station or, I don't know, work in a hotel as a concierge or something. Okay, but that's a choice. Something they can do just to not feel too idle. But if women, I'd argue, stayed home, they're learning about news and politics. Like, the amount of knowledge a woman can gain at home in a shorter amount of time is going to excel her mind and let her be a beacon of knowledge for the people in her family, rather than being at work saying, the special today is salmon with salad. Okay, do you want fries with that? What would you like to drink today? Oh, like, you know, like repeating the same phrases over and over and being just this soulless, deadless, sedentary person. You know, a woman can be at home, keeping her body in shape, her mind focused, doing her prayers on time, being protected from the stresses of the world to a certain degree. And yes, she may have less money, but she's cutting out the nonsense of customer service, the temptations of the lust between the boss and the employee and coworkers, and her time and her energy should be channeled towards good pursuits. This is why I try to lead by example, and I try to help women see, you know, you can do knitting, sewing, you can have a garden, you can go bird watching, you can go fishing, you can have a picnic with your family, you can create a nice coursed meal for your husband, creating desserts, creating, you know, you can paint. I've painted, you know, candles, you know, things like that. You can do online content creation. You can perfect your mind and wisdom in secular topics and religious topics. There is a lot you can do in the day, and the day goes by fast when you keep it full with hobbies and stuff. The amount of good I'm able to do on my own self and for my family is much larger now that I've left the workforce, and it's going on 3 years now. Had my first job when I was 12, helped my grandpa when I was younger to clean carpets and do Santa Claus stuff during the holiday season. So I understand what it's like to have job on top of job on top of job and grind. Okay? And being a kept woman is a good goal. And yes, you're depending on a man and it can be risky. But in the digital age, you can find some little mini source of income and work on maintaining your marriage and having backup plans, but also just you being there for your children will make them more bonded to you, and when they get older want to take care of you instead of stuff you in an old folks home. So you'll be able to parent better, keep trauma away from your kids better, while you're staying home and being in the community. Moms need other moms staying home and being in the community. You can volunteer at your kid's school or your other kids, I mean, like there's, you know, high school, middle, elementary, you name it. You can volunteer and help other kids be safe when you don't have a job. You can do good deeds of charity. Like there's beach cleanups, there's tons of things you can do to help perfect your community if you're not at work. So when Pearly thinks the college-educated rich girl who's childless, 27 years old, is a CEO boss babe, runs her own network, while she's slamming stay-at-home moms, instead of finding out how the good ones manage their time, she thinks she's helping men. That's what's crazy. She's out of touch, telling young men that now they should push their women to work if the kids are in public school. Juggling two schedules is very difficult. Your kid gets sick, you gotta leave your job and go get them. Some jobs will start to fire you, twice. You don't know what's gonna happen. That's the thing. A lot of jobs are not forgiving for your kid's schedule. They don't care. Is your kid sick? You can't go into work today? Call out 2 times in a month, you can get fired. They don't care. They'll find someone else. And work stress does come home. It does. It does. Doesn't mean you won't have challenges being a stay-at-home mom. But what it does mean is that you will have to push yourself to excel in a new puzzle, a new maze. But being a stay-at-home mom is freedom. You're retiring yourself from the hamster wheel, from the grueling bustle and competition that is the workforce. Instead of catering to your boss and customers, you're catering to your family and husband. So when it comes to the childcare, the nanny is like a tool for emergencies. Emergencies, okay? Do not denigrate your value as a mother by saying a stranger who you pay can do the same thing and your child won't know the difference. I won't forget this, inshallah, I won't forget. This kid was with a nanny, right? Because she's like Guatemalan, the kid's like blonde hair, blue eyed. I see a lot of nannies in my community. And the kid was like saying, Mama, Mama, Mama. And it was like, squeezed my heart a little bit because the kid keeps asking. He's young. Maybe younger, like preschool age, maybe younger. But the kid kept just repeating mommy. And the nanny is like looking at her phone and pushing the stroller, and the kid has the stuffy, but doesn't look very happy and keeps asking. And stuff like that, you begin to see like kids, they want their mom. And I remember once reading a post that at preschool, the women workers just kept saying the kids cry and they ask for their mom, like they don't want to be there. How many kids cry when their parents leave? It's strange. We denigrate the value of the grandmother, and now the value of the mother. The father has been denigrated. We have to build these things back. It's not trad to put your kid with a nanny 5 days a week. You should be very cautious of that. You should want to go through the flames of motherhood. Motherhood is a trial. It's not difficult. I mean, it's difficult, but it's not too difficult. Okay? It can be taxing. But you must perfect yourself. You have to struggle. You have to go through it so that you actually have wisdom to give to other generations. If you just want to make the maid do everything, a chef do everything, a nanny do everything, and then look back at yourself and say, well, what are you doing? You can't just look in the mirror and brush your hair all day. And even women like that, they're still cold and rigid with their men, even though they've outsourced all the responsibilities. Just shopping and putting makeup on and looking in the mirror isn't it's not an existence. Lying down and gossiping on a pillow or at a picnic with your girlfriends that's not living. That's wasting time. Women can be freed from the workforce. It just depends on how you use your time. Really examine that. A smart person, I feel, would tell you that you're not wasting your time being a stay-at-home mom. Only if you do it wrong. If you're watching Real Housewives of Atlanta or some other reality TV show too much, but you're not learning something every day and practicing a new skill, then you should worry. Moms who have the ability to stay home and let their men provide, you're able to use your brain in ways that can help society. Write books, do different courses or something. The amount of knowledge at your fingertips now is astounding. You have colleges at your fingertips. You can learn from some of the greatest minds through Zoom. Think about it. Why give that up so that you can be, $15 an hour for 10 hours? I mean, paying for parking, risking yourself on public transportation where there's like homeless people who are high on meth and, touching themselves, and so much violence on public transportation. Why? Why do that? Why pay for the extra car? Well, it just doesn't make sense. You're going to be driving, stuck in traffic in your commute. It's like, how many hours did you waste? It don't make sense. Examine what women like Pearly things are trying to tell you. She plays with your mind. Oh, you're not trad enough. Oh, now you have to get a job. You can basically call me a Pearl biographer at this point. I study her like how someone would study cancer. Just really on the tip of the needle there. So, won't post too many of those refutations if you're on the community tab, because it can get, some people don't want to read that much, because YouTube is a video format website app. But on my blog, if you type in key phrases and words, you'll see lots of anti-Pearl posts there. And I think it's necessary, because women like her are confusing men and women while claiming to be part of the solution. Alright? And remind you, she has said not nice things about Islam, and she does not like Islam, and she fetishizes false stereotypes about Islam, and then uses that as a weapon to denigrate women, not to help them. Okay? So keep that in mind. And she's worked with red pill Muslims in the past, and then those clips went viral, and people got a more negative view of Islam. Okay? And she also told Sneeko to leave Islam and go back to Catholicism. So she's not a friend to Muslims. So it's important to refute her, especially when there are red pill Muslims who do follow her content. I keep track of them, and I don't want to put the brothers on blast because that'd be backbiting. And I'm not going to message them privately because that's haram. But I will just talk about the generalities, right? Which is better. Let me know what you think. But trads should not think that they're imitating the upper classes by not tending to their children. You should be tending to your children. If you're trading the years of your kid to go work at a minimum wage job, or even if you're blue collar, white collar, as a mom, your kid, they're only tiny for a little while. You need to make that spiritual bond. You need to feel like a real mom. Do it. You don't need to have the clothes and the fancy vacations and all this stuff. It's temporary, man. When you're old age, you can go on cruises, you can go on private helicopter rides, whatever you want, if you want to do that. Dedicate time to your kids, and later your kids get older, you can travel with them. There's a lot to be had. Think about it, okay? Think about it. You need to gain wisdom so that you can be a valuable grandma to your grandchildren. Okay? Hearing pop music in a lot of, like, you work at Safeway, you work at Whole Foods, you're hearing pop music all day in the scanner. Beep, 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 beep. That'll be 5562. Beep, beep. Hello, beep, beep. It's the same type of, you're repeating every day. It's like out of an episode of Black Mirror. And you think that's more fulfilling than reading hadith or reading Plato, reading a cookbook, watching a travel video, tending to your garden, having a chicken coop, having like a fish aquarium that you nerd out on, having so many fun hobbies that you can do that your husband allows you to have time for, right? That's way more fulfilling. You could literally be at the masjid while your kids are in public school and being there, and there you could be a wise beacon of knowledge for sisters who need help, and you're available. You're available while other women are working. You're available. The potency of that type of feminine pillar in the community is irreplaceable and doesn't belong at the workforce. Pearl is an enemy to Muslim women and traditional living. She's a source of pain for women, and she interviews the lowest denominator of women, and she doesn't face any strong opponent. And some have argued that she's a secret lesbian, and that's becoming clear more and more. Either she's bisexual or she's a lesbian, because the behavior she is exhibiting, it doesn't make sense. It's very anti-woman. Like a gay man will have a different perspective on women than a heterosexual one, because they're not attracted to that. So the way in which they'll talk about women, the way they behave around women is different. So the way Pearl behaves, it's becoming clear there's something not right. She highlights her father, denigrates her mother, who was a wealthy, college-educated, corporate woman. Okay. Something to think about. I have issues with my mom, but I chose to do different than my mom. Pearl is working like her mom and gets money from her mom, but then slanders her. That is something that I don't respect. I don't respect that. If your mom gave you financial means to survive, gave you a water slide, gave you good food, you owe her a certain level of respect in public places. My mom didn't do that, but I still tried my best not to be too mean. So I advocate to break the chain of dysfunction. Pearl is not trying to break the chain of dysfunction. She's just adding more links to the chain, creating a vast network of restrictions. Let me know what you think. It's a really interesting conversation. Now, mind you, I do understand if you have no choice but to work, and you want to work to get out of poverty in a bad neighborhood, and then maybe later you'll retire. There's a nuanced conversation. And if you've watched my content, you know I'm fully capable of that. Let me know what you think, and if you'd like to join my blog and read those anti-Pearl posts, it's www.subscribestar.com/MilahanArchive. Hope to see you there.